And talking of wonderful people joining us today, a big shout out and thank you to the wonderful musician Bratis, and especially because he's a very morning person now. He's connecting with us from Southampton in the UK. So you can imagine that now for him is 7 a.m. So Bratis, he is a singer, composer, keyboard slash piano player, and music producer. I will say no more, and I will let the music talk for us now. Meanwhile, show your love in the chat and show the support to the artists joining us every morning by going to the links in the chat.
Hello everyone, my name is Bratis. First thing first, I want to say that I want to thank you for inviting me to this event. I think it's a very unique experience. It is my first time actually playing virtually. So I hope you're going to enjoy it. I woke up at around 5 a.m. for this, so you better do. I'm kidding. So the song that I'm going to play is called A Better Me. And I think it really reflects the theme of today, Ripple. So it is the first song I ever wrote and ever put out there. So it was my first published song. So if you go on Spotify, you can find it there. I think I released it back in 2016 or 2015. So it's quite old now, but I think it's a really good one. So enjoy. Sometimes I fall and nobody's there, and it's just me who can take care of my soul loud. I pray, but not even there. Are you listening to me now? Are you listening to me now? Are you listening to me now? Sometimes it feels so hard that I can't think about the past anymore. And now life just goes on and on like the past never existed before. But this is not me after all. I wanna find a better me. I'm staring at a white wall. I wanna find a better me. Whoa. I shout out loud, is somebody there? Facing down, I'm pushing myself on the ground. Loud, I pray, but not even there. Are you listening to me now? Are you listening to me now? Are you listening to me now? Sometimes it feels so hard that I can't think about the past anymore. And now life just goes on and on like the past never existed before. But this is not me after this is unrehearsed. So if I mess it up, don't blame me. Okay, I hope you enjoy this musical experience. I'm not sure how it sounded on your side, but I'm pretty sure once Steph is gonna re-upload the video, I also recorded in here in the studio, so it's gonna sound much better once
And
you get it. Yeah, so
without the muted part.
without the muted part. Okay, guys, thank you very much.
We have beautiful messages in the chat. Lovely, beautiful. Thank you, Bratis. You can imagine now people are applauding and thanking you for sending the great vibes in their own spaces. So thank you once more for sharing your talent with us. And everybody, please don't forget to support our artists who are joining us for free at our Creative Mornings event. So follow them on the social media handle and listen to their music. For Bratis, you can find it on Spotify and YouTube. So thank you once more. And now, every month, the Creative Mornings chapters, they're exploring one global theme. This month, we are exploring last month's theme, which is Ripple. It was chosen by the Creative Mornings Tel Aviv and illustration made by Masha Manapov. So in order to explore this theme, the first person that actually came to my mind was our wonderful guest from today. She, when I'm thinking about her, I think of a beautiful ray of sunshine. She is always shining and positive, and as she beautifully said in her description, she imagines a world where we wake up with an authentic smile from within, aligned with ourselves, with what we do, who we are, and unleash the human potential in the world. So thank you so much for joining us today. Also a very morning person, because it's also very early in the space that she's joining in from. So Cristina, you have the virtual microphone.
Yes, I'm live from Tenerife. Um, so can you hear me? Is that fine? Everything is okay? Great. So I'm live from Tenerife. Woke up at like 4 in this morning. I think I won this game for this time, and I'm very happy to share some of my ideas with you about the theme. So when Steph asked me to write about and speak about ripple, I was like, what is the most important for me to create that ripple effect, right? So I'm gonna also share a few slides and use some props. Stay with me, and really, I'm really curious to know your ideas about what I'm gonna share. So feel free to write in a chat or to talk after, to reach me afterwards. There are many, many things behind what I'm saying, so love to share more about it. Cool. I think it's okay, Steph, with the sound, with the background. Cool. So, do I love every part of myself, however imperfect it may seem? This is one question that we should all ask ourselves. I'm not talking about that blind type of falling in love when you fall in love with a person for the first time and you don't see their flaws, but that one when you decide to embrace all of it. So do you embrace all of it in yourself? Or do you consider that if people knew just a fraction of the truth about yourself and your dark inner voices, they would run far, far, far away from you, get scared, and maybe you even feel like an imposter, and someone could soon realize who you are and expose you. Well, what I observed is that, and our older researchers say that most of us are champions in self-criticizing, self-doubting, and under-evaluating ourselves, constantly comparing our insides with everybody else's outsides. We conclude that we are not beautiful enough, intelligent enough, successful enough, emotionally or physically fit enough. And in reality, if we actually talked with someone the way that we talk to ourselves, this would have a name, and it would be most probably bullying or even abuse. But the worst is that we don't even realize that we are doing it. We know this for a fact from all the latest studies on brain and psychology. But we also have, of course, proofs in our daily lives, like, for example, just think for a second. What is your reaction when you receive a compliment? What is your instinctive response when somebody says you're beautiful? Or how often do you make yourself smaller through the words that you're using or even the body posture? So how do we know which parts of ourselves we are not embracing yet? Especially since most of it is unconsciously. So we could, for example, look in a mirror, but even easier to spot is by looking at what we don't like in others, or what are the parts that we are making fun of, ironically, in others. So let's take an example. Please think about one quality that you appreciate in one of your best friends, your spouse, or your parents. Just think about it. Let's say it's their honesty. Now, think about what happens when they exaggerate that quality and they push it too far. In my example of the honesty, somebody can become empathetically straightforward when they push it too far. And sometimes we only see that part of the coin. That's part of the 50-50. But we do need to remember that that straightforwardness comes from a core quality that is the very thing that we appreciate about them in the beginning, which is the honesty. So this happens for any quality we have. You can find it in many researches and theories, like the theory of the weakness of a strength, or the core quadrant theory of Daniel Hoffman. Every pitfall and every weakness is no more, no less than the downside of a quality. It's always 50-50. An inevitable and an opposite consequence of possessing a strength. Another example, some of you might have read Steve Jobs' biography or saw the movie. 13 years ago, Steve Jobs gave a memorable speech at the University of Stanford that most of you might have seen, and everyone would quote him at that moment. Now, if I even if I try to quote him in my room when I'm in training, I would have a hard time, because now, as we know everything about his behavior and his personality, I cannot do that. God forbid I do that in a room full of IT people. As biographer, Walter Isaacson, that actually wrote his biography, one of the best, I really recommend it, by the way. He was saying that there was a good Steve and then there was a bad Steve, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And one of the examples that I like, which is a very small example, was when John Ive, was the chief designer officer of Apple, went into trouble to find a boutique hotel of 5 stars for Jobs to stay in London. And as soon as Jobs got into his room, he called Eve and he said, "I hate this room, it's a piece of shit." So literally Jobs grabbed his things to leave and stopped by the desk to tell the clerk what he thought about the hotel. And that's a small example. But this very crazy obsession about certain details and his maddening stubbornness about his ideas that got him to change the way that we use technology today. So now think about yourself. What is one of your main qualities? And I would invite you to actually write it down. Just take a moment and write it down. One of your main qualities. Good, you have it? Something that people appreciate in you, that you are told that you have as a quality, just write it down. And now think about what is the pitfall that you fall into when you exaggerate it, when you do too much of it. And write it down as well. For myself, my main quality is my adaptability. My pitfall, chaos, lack of direction, having conflicting ideas, which these can literally drive organized people around me nuts. But that is the very source of my ability to understand dual ideas and be incredibly empathetic with any situations that my clients bring in our coaching sessions. So to love and accept 100% of who we are, we should embrace and yes, love all these parts. So I would say the shadows and the ugliness, and I brought a witch for that, but also the light and the beautifulness. So both of them are part of us and all of it. That does not mean that we should not try to evolve, of course, which is a different from change, but evolve from a place of acceptance, of compassion, of involvement, not from a place of not being enough and scarcity. So, for example, one of the worst insults that we can use nowadays is you are narcissistic, self-oriented, self-centered. We have collectively decided that being narcissistic is a bad thing. And thus, we reject all the parts of in ourselves and in our behaviors that might seem as narcissistic. Do you have a hard time, for example, looking at yourself in the mirror or in a video or hearing your voice recorded or taking a selfie or exposing yourself, for that matter, in terms of, creative, or even hearing somebody talking about you? But what if we got it all wrong? In Greek mythology, Narcissus is the son of a nymph He grows without ever seeing himself. And as the legend goes, he's very handsome, but he doesn't know it. He rejects all romantic advances. And one day, as he's hunting, he stumbles upon a lake where, while trying to drink water, he sees his reflection for the first time. So he meets himself for the first time, and he falls in love with the being that he sees in the reflection of the water. But he doesn't know that it is himself, so he is confused. And we have different versions of the myth here, but the one that I found at the origin, apparently Narcissus finally recognizes himself, touches a form of marvelous jubilation staged in the myth, and he immediately metamorphoses into a Narcissus flower, which is the first flower of spring, a symbol of renewal and of life. We have collectively decided that there is a negative conclusion to this story. But if the Greeks at that time considered Narcissus to be a bad thing, they would have given him a darker and more terrifying name. I'm curious, have you ever seen a daffodil field? Does that make you feel in any way bad? So if we're going forward, what if self-praising, self-appreciation, and self-celebration would be a good thing? What if there is such thing as healthy narcissism? And a quick search on the internet will point you to what is healthy narcissism, which is first coined by Paul Federer, which is a positive sense of self that is in alignment with the greater good. We do have a hard time loving ourselves, and in some culture, we might even consider it as a sin, because we readily confuse loving oneself with selfishness or obsession with one ego, and even a personality disorder. God forbid you to be selfish. But we know now that it's only when we really love all parts of ourselves that we accept all that is, that we can give that attention, and that in order to really listen to others. It's only when I love my own, if you want, my ugliness, that I can actually accept it also in others. So let's go and ask ourselves, how did we get here? Why are we here? When we are born, our brain does not make any difference between the outside and the inside world, between self and others. Everything is just one. We have very little notion of what is good, bad, black, white, shadow, light, right and wrong. The main job of our brain, and always is in all the periods, is to keep us alive. So as the brain is completely malleable when we are a baby, and learning is highly intense. We create a myriad of neural pathways, much like Google search, if you want, which saves patterns and it creates predictions. And of course, these are highly, highly useful when we grow up, because it provides a sort of a map around all the complexities in the world and the perceptions, and provides a lot of shortcuts. And of course, in this way, our brain learns little by little what works, what doesn't, what is good for survival, what's not, and avoids different types of behavior that could cause any type of short-term or medium-term psychological or physical pain. So thus, we actually create a sort of a map of positive and negative behavior based on all the feedback that we receive, and also everything that we observe around us. So I would like you to use this image. Just suppose that when you are born, you are this beautiful, perfect, complete, house with all these magical rooms where all parts of yourself live in. And as time goes by, you pick up direct and indirect messages about what is acceptable and what is not, in order to integrate into the society and fulfill that basic need of belonging. And what do we do with that house, with those rooms, is that we start to close little by little different rooms of what is considered as being unacceptable. So if you hear, you shouldn't be selfish, you should share with others. So you understand that being selfish equal not good, so you close the door to being selfish, part of yourself, which is a part of yourself and all of us, by the way. We are told, for example, don't get angry, control yourself, don't cry like a baby. So you're expressing the anger becomes socially unacceptable, and it's a behavior that you should avoid, and that thus you close the door to that room of angriness as well. As a child, you see how adults behave to one another, they're nonverbal, what they appreciate in others, what they don't, and you unconsciously translate that into benchmarks of behavior, and thus close all these different doors to your psyche. Carl Jung, which is the founder of analytical psychology, introduced also the concept of the shadow that you might have already heard about. And I encourage you to go further if you want to learn more about it, by the way. Which is the side of our personality that contains all parts of yourself that you don't admit to having yet. And as he discovered, the way that we see people around us is just a mere mirror of our own shadows, good or bad, shadow and light, which are parts of us that we did not yet accept, good or bad, by the way. But of course, all these parts at some point, they actually ask also their rights. So we will see in the behavior that this gets out. So I'm going to give you another example from my personal life, which is the way that I unconsciously observed the way that my grandfather, Pavel, would talk to my grandmother, Florica, which he called Meta, which he loved, of course. So he was like, "Dar tu, Meta, nu-i gata deja mâncarea? You didn't finish cooking yet? Why didn't you put the salt on the table? Let me do the heavy lifting, you can't. Playing hard cards, it's not for women." He would listen differently to men, and he would give a different attention to women. That, plus many other observations around me, brought me to the unconscious belief that being a man is better than being a woman. Thus, I overdeveloped my masculine side, and I shut the door to my feminine side. I would be ironic about the girls that would be too feminine, who would play that I need help card. Well, now I am trying to accept that being gentle and soft and sweet can be wonderful. And allowing men around me to open the wine bottle for me, even though I know precisely well how to do it. And it's precisely these rejections of different parts of ourselves that make us feel miserable, and even those that are actually making us having different mental problems, like wanting to prove something, getting into burnouts, entering in competition, bragging, fighting whatever fight we need to win in order to validate ourselves. Or the opposite, by the way, which is the fear of exposure, the fear of failure, the perfectionism, and the imposter syndrome, which is that not considering ourselves as enough, it's actually the main reason why most of the conflicts occur at all levels in relationships and even at the society as a whole. Most of the problems of the world are created in the end by people who do not love themselves. You should look into his childhood. You're going to see what I'm talking about, which actually claim the significant attention from the outside because they don't appreciate themselves from the inside. So if we're coming back to our metaphor at the house, in time, we close so many doors to our house, our beautiful house, that we end up feeling tiny and cramped. Even in the body posture, you can see yourself that you're making yourself small. And what do? Is that we go outside and try to find more space. We search in others the missing parts of ourselves. And what do? You enter in friendships and relationships with people that have these dominant traits in a way or another. And as most of us already found out, the solution has never been on the outside. It has always been on the inside. So what can we do? First of all, start by reopening the doors that you closed one by one, not all at once. And if you ask yourself which doors you should open first, well, look at your emotions as indicators. What creates the most anxiety or anger in your life right now? And try to see what's behind that door. As we are in pandemic, we have time with ourselves, which is that we are isolated from others. And this is a perfect time to take yourself on a date, to invite yourself to have a good wine or a good tea, coffee, and get all parts of yourself to talk to one another, to give them space, to communicate. Secondly, another thing that we can do is start loving kindness meditation practice, which is one of the most researched based and backed up type of meditation in terms of impact on the well-being and acceptance. And thirdly, just notice. So start by noticing when you make yourself small by any physical symptoms like rounding your shoulders, or verbally by the way that you talk yourself in a harsh way. And just straighten your back, say thank you when you receive a compliment, and don't add anything else, just soak it in, blush if you need to, but just say thank you and don't try to take it away. When we love and embrace all parts of ourselves, we create that ripple effect of allowing others around us to do the same. And by spreading that acceptance, that smile from within, we are going to change the world. And as Coach Brooke Castillo puts it, we are also going to change the world in a bad way. We're going to make it better and worse in the same time, because it's always 50-50. That 50-50 is going to follow us all the time. The themes will change, some things will get better, others will get worse, but that is the game of life, and that is the process of humanity. So I would like you to just finish with this. Imagine a world where every person on this planet wakes up with a smile from within, considering himself or herself as being enough and loving all parts of themselves. Personally, I'm just gonna love all of it, all parts of it, of the world and of myself. And I invite you to do the same.